One of the struggles, I think, around religion in Western culture is that it has focused so much on belief and faith, as it has kind of forced the minions to swallow things that are against reason and that don't stand up under scrutiny of logic or thinking. And so has gotten a rather bad reputation as a system of thought useful really only to people not interested in using their mind or their thought. And of course, that scapegoat Satan is always brought in for the reason why we can't trust the intellect. And I always found that extremely offensive and extremely dissatisfactory growing up as a person who was interested in the divine and in spiritual life as an investigation for looking at this world and seeing something incredible and something beyond wonder and something that screamed for an explanation. And in these works written by Swami Vivekananda, he addresses this in quite a beautiful way, as he often does. He says, perception is our only knowledge, our real religion. So perception, this awareness of the world around us, this is our religion, this is our only knowledge. Talking about our soul for ages will never make us know it. There is no difference between theories and atheism. In fact, the atheist is the truer man. A shocking statement for somebody as enlightened and spiritually adept as Swamiji, saying atheism, that the atheist is the truer man. Why? Because none of us normal or ordinary, normal folks, say ordinary folks, have seen the divine or recognized the divine in any real way. And so it really is just a matter of a statement, oh, I believe in God, as if that has a meaning, as if that has a purpose. But really the atheist is one who is saying, this is my evidence and I haven't seen it yet, and keeps going, keeps searching, presumably. In fact, the atheist is the truer man. Every step I take in the light is mine forever. When you go to a country and see it, then it is yours. We have each to see for ourselves. Teachers can only bring the food. We must eat it to be nourished. Argument can never prove God's existence, save as a logical conclusion. This idea that we can be given food, but the teacher can't digest it for us, I think an excuse for not doing practice and not involving a great deal of self-discipline. Modern religion has really taken to light this idea of belief and faith in sort of a blind way, because there is no daily practice. There is no depth of self-control and concentration and prayer. That it's really just ordinary folks who've just put a tag on themselves, a label, I'm religious and I'm of this religion and therefore I'm fine. When really this has nothing to do with other people's opinions or labels. This has everything to do with our own unfoldment, our own investigation into the perception of the world that we all share, that we all enjoy. He says it is impossible to find God outside of ourselves, which is a contradictory statement for Westerners. Again, God is only existing outside of ourselves. But he says it is impossible to find God outside of ourselves. Why? Because even in Christianity, it is the image of God placed within that gives us our existence. Our own souls contribute to all the divinity that is outside of us. We are the greatest temple. The objectification is only a faint imitation of what we see within ourselves. This objectification is breaking down this whole, this oneness, into composite parts, and then drawing lines of relativity, lines of relationship between them. This one's bigger than that one, this one's red, that one's blue, I like this one, I don't like that one. That's the relative knowledge that we construct within our mind. And we know from the scriptures that we have to go beyond that. We have to go deeper than that, into a sense of sameness, that watcher, that awareness within ourselves that's always the same. He goes on to say, concentration of the powers of the mind is our only instrument to help us to see God. You see, that's a very important point. Perception is our religion. We all can perceive, we all are aware, but it is the mind that has to make sense of that information. It's the mind that has to grow in understanding. And see, it's the mind that has to be trained and disciplined in order to become a tool that's adequate for that level of subtle perception and understanding. And that's where the work comes in. And that's where modern religion really seems to fall down, is in that discipline of mind meditation and practice and concentration, so that we take this tool of the mind and actually learn how to use it to think and reason and follow logic to make sense of this perceived world. He says, stick to your reason until you find something higher, and you will know it to be higher because it will not jar or go against reason itself. He goes on, he says, you'll find behind all of this is the Atman, that self, that unchanging watcher, that which is aware, that which perceives, that which is taking in all of this. And he says, when you come to know of the existence or suspect the existence of this inner self, this watcher, unchanged by the experience, he says, in perfect peace, meditate upon it. Sit, not grab onto it, sit, think about it, meditate on it, concentrate your mind upon it, make yourself one with it. Then no speech is needed. What is speech? Speech is that relativity, that description of attributes that are assigned to come up with the relative structures that our mind uses to think about something. He says that's not going to be necessary. Then no speech is needed. Silence will carry the truth. Do not spend your energy in talking, but meditate in silence. Because meditation is what's going to take you to that transcendence. It's meditation that gives you the strength and the discipline to calm the mind so that you're not constantly pulled out of that silent, centered circle of being within from which the world is properly seen and accurately intuited. So that you're not pulled into the story of the lower self, of who you are, what you're doing, what needs to be done. That's temporary. That's vapid. It comes and it goes. Do not spend your energy in talking, but meditate in silence. And do not let the rush of the outside world disturb you. That's where the practice and the discipline are so important. So that you can draw your mind and you decide what your mind wanders to and what it doesn't wander to. So that you can hold it on a single point to understand that point. And when you find that Atman, when you find that inner peace, when you find that transcendent space from which the world is properly observed, accurately understood, you can hold yourself there without all the noise and glory and wonder and excitement of the senses pulling you off of that beautiful space, that beautiful perspective. When your mind is in the highest state, you are unconscious of it. Accumulate power in silence and become a dynamo of spirituality. What can a beggar give? Only a king can give, and he only when he wants nothing for himself. And the only way to want nothing for yourself is to know that it is already yours through this deep and beautiful contemplation of this perceived world, which points only at oneness and only at the divine as it's searched out and looked at closely. So by all means, become a dynamo of spirituality in silence.